I am Lily Mae, and welcome to another episode of the Glambitious Podcast. The theme for Women's History Month is the top voices of 2026. So these are the women that you need to know, that you need to hear from, that you need to learn from, and that you need to grow from. If this is your first time tuning in, I encourage you to visit hervisibility.com. Again, that's hervisibility.com to check out the visibility membership we have for women entrepreneurs, where we bring speaking and podcast opportunities directly to your inbox. Without further ado, Miss Christina Renee, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about your business.
Sure. Hi, I am Christina Renee, and I am an infidelity and divorce coach. And mainly, I help women make bold, brave moves beyond infidelity and divorce.
Awesome. And what inspired you to pursue this area?
What inspired me to pursue this area is it was my story first. So I like to consider myself the little engine that could. So when I was married, unfortunately, it ended due to betrayal. And I really had a hard time finding a safe space to talk about what was going on. My ex-husband was a minister, so it was a lot of, you should stay married. What did you do to save your marriage and that sort of thing. So I just did not have a safe space. We tried pastoral counseling as well as marriage counseling. And I felt that a lot of it was all the things that I could do differently. And we didn't really talk about the things that we didn't really talk about accountability and that sort of thing. So I wanted to provide a safe space for women to kind of show up and really have hard conversations about healing and what does that look like when you thought your life would be forever, and then talk about the grieving aspect of it, because I think a lot of times when we mention infidelity and divorce, we don't look at it as a process of grief. So I wanted to kind of meet women where they were. And then I wanted them to realize that there is a life outside of that. I kind of look at it as I know for me, I went through an identity crisis because my main thing was I wanted to be a mom and I wanted to be a wife. So when that didn't happen, I wasn't sure who I was. So we talk about that. We talk about the identity crisis, and then we figure out ways to, I like to say, bloom forward. So we figure out ways that we can heal and grow and create a blissful life beyond infidelity and divorce.
Wow, that is wonderful work because unfortunately, so many women have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
So many women have to deal with infidelity. And then, like you said, especially women of faith, there
Mm-hmm.
becomes a bit of a challenge in should I stay in it because I committed to this and, you know, the Bible. And it's so many things that we have to contend with when it comes to that. So I think, having a faith-based person like yourself to provide that space of transition or, self-reflection in that process is really needed because I know unfortunately so many women go through it. What would be your advice to a woman who just found out about her husband's indiscretion and she is, shattered and she doesn't know what to do right now?
What I always say is just give yourself time to grieve. And I also say give yourself to breathe, time to breathe. I don't say, again, I'm an infidelity and divorce coach, but my first advice isn't automatically going to the divorce court and saying, this is what I want. I always tell women just to kind of, think about it and talk, see what your options are, because in some regards, you can heal from it, and if you work together with your husband or spouse at that time, then there are ways that you can rekindle that relationship. But when you first find out, I say kind of give yourself time to heal and breathe, and then don't judge yourself. And for me, I had to cry it out. I spent a lot of times crying it out, and then don't blame yourself. I think one of the things that we do as women is we blame ourselves. If I was skinnier, if I was this, if I did that, I say don't do that, don't self-blame. And if you have a great support system, and I know that that's extremely hard, especially when you're dealing with infidelity, because again, people have their own myths and that sort of thing. Find a safe space or someone safe to talk to, and kind of talk it out. And then when you're in the healthiest spot, then you can start making those decisions. But when you first find out, I just say give yourself space to breathe and give yourself space to grieve. It's a huge deal, and you deserve to give that to yourself.
Absolutely. And one thing you touched on was how we often might internalize it as being
Mm-hmm.
about us or
Mm-hmm.
being about a shortcoming that we have and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what or how does a woman kind of disconnect from feeling that way? Like it's because I'm not as cute as this one, or it's because I gained some pounds, or, all of these things that we naturally are going to think about and feel. How do we get on the other side to knowing it's not about me in that way?
And it's hard. I think it's a process because I think for me personally, I think I stalked the other woman for a really long time, and I looked at the page and I'm like, well, what did she have? What don't I have? And it was a disaster. But then I had to realize that somebody else's actions isn't a reflection of you and your actions. And I think that that's the fact that we have to really understand and really embrace, is just because they did this to me, that's a shortcoming on their end and it has nothing to do with me. And again, it's a process getting there because I've been there, so I know how hard that is. But I think we just have to just face that fact that their actions isn't an indication of what we did or our shortcoming.
hmm And another question I have for you, because again, this is often challenging for women having this experience, is when do they know if they have the capacity to truly forgive and move forward, or if they should move on? Because what I have seen is when women forgive, they don't all the way forgive, and then they're bitter, and then they're bringing it up over and over and over, and it's creating contention in the marriage. So how does a woman know if she can handle it and if she does have the capacity to forgive, or if she should just move on?
That's a great question because I've also been through that as well. So my pastor told me at the time I was going through it, he said you either have to forgive or move on, because it's my thing is it's hard to forgive somebody who've created such a betrayal. Like, you're supposed to be married forever. You literally broke a vow. And for me, I think the turning point was I remember writing in a journal and I told myself that I have to forgive so I can create the most beautiful love story from this moment. But what ultimately happened is and also you have to work towards like healing and work towards counseling. Like, I don't think, for being, in my humble opinion, I don't think we should forgive and that's it, because ultimately what happens is you sweep that hurt under the rug. I think that you should definitely get professional support. And so that's what I did. I decided to, forgive. And I said, and then I'm going to work hard and we're going to work together. And I think it's important that your partner is serious about working together. And then once you guys are working together and you see that there is effort and he is, making the effort to, do the things that you desire, and he is being faithful, then that's when you move forward. In my case, unfortunately, I realized that I got to the point where we were in counseling, but he still was committing adultery. So I said I wasn't going to do this anymore. And I decided that I can forgive, but I still had to move on. So I think the first thing is, as you said, you have to make the decision and set an intention that you are going to seriously forgive, because you're right. A lot of times you do carry that resentment. And I did that. I carried a lot of resentment, and you also keep bringing it up. So you're saying I'm forgiving, but every 5 minutes you're bringing it up. And my pastor was like, you cannot do that if you're going to forgive. And that's why I said you have to give yourself time to process it.
And for my viewers who are single, like myself, right? Let's go back to the beginning before you got married, when you were in the dating process. Do you feel like you missed some red flags, or that there were any clues that this could be a part of being in a partnership with that person? Or do you feel like you had no idea and it just kind of caught you off guard on the back end?
For me, I had no idea. Sometimes someone asked me that before, and sometimes, because a lot of times people say, a cheater, right? And I think that's also a myth, because I didn't know. Like, we fell in love. We had a mutual respect. We had mutual likes and dislikes, and we just wanted to be. We also wanted to be a love story for a lot of our young people, so we wanted to inspire love. Like, I love love. I still love love. And so I think I found out because, and we didn't have secrets. So I was on his computer. That's how open our relationship was. I was on his computer because I didn't know. I didn't even think that and that's when I found out. So I know that sometimes there are red flags. I would say red flags are, people that aren't being consistent and that sort of thing. But for him, he was very consistent. We didn't have a lot of time where I didn't talk to him. We talked all the time. We emailed all the time. We text. So even to this day, sometimes I'm like, how did you even find time? So for me, I don't think that there were any red flags.
Okay, okay. And another question I have, as it relates to like women who are single and in the dating world, right? They're hoping to get married. A lot of times, we seek God about partnership. We seek God. So, do you feel like you did that as well? Like you were seeking God for confirmation, like this is the person, or do you think maybe that would have been a better decision to seek God on that? Like, how did you navigate that?
I Yes, I love that question because yes, I definitely would have done. I think I was young. Again, I wanted a happily ever in children. So I think that in hindsight, I would have slowed down a little bit, and I would have I would have seeked God, and I would have asked God, to send me the right person for me. I would have prayed more about it and that sort of thing. So yes, I definitely think that the next time around, I would include God in all aspects of the relationship and that sort of thing. So yes, I
Okay.
definitely could have done that differently.
And is there any advice that you would give single women in the dating process because you've went through that experience and you kind of know like, okay, now I'll approach it this way. Is there any other advice you want to share with single women before they get to the point of being married and enduring infidelity, just maybe to help them in the dating process or the courting process?
Absolutely. I think one thing you said that was really important was, just include God in all aspects of your life. So I think that, I definitely would have, I recommend that, yes, you do pray about your spouse and that sort of thing. And then for me, it was a matter of me marking off timelines. I wouldn't do that. I would just let God take its time and do what he wants to do in my life. And as far as navigating the dating pool, we know that it's difficult and we challenge it and it is challenging. But I say that, a lot of times as women, we do kind of have this spirit of discernment. And I just say, always trust your discernment and believe how people show up. And that's what I would say. Just believe how people show up and trust God
All right.
and his timing.
And his timing, which is so hard to do sometimes. So hard to do. But tell us,
Yes, yes.
how can women who are enduring what, infidelity and all those things and they need your support, how can they connect with you? And are there any particular programs they should sign up for? Is there a book or anything that you want to share that you can have to support them and how they can contact you? Please share it.
Sure. So I do have a book, The Silent Grief of Infidelity and Divorce. And also, you can follow me and connect with me at Christina Renee Speaks .com.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Christina, for joining us on the podcast and really doing the work that you do. I think that is very important work. And like I said, unfortunately, so many women need the support that you're offering. So I just thank you for using your pain as purpose to help other women who are going through similar challenges. And again, for any of you who are viewing, her information will be in the caption below the video, in the comments below the video, so that you can follow her and check out her book. And if this is your first time tuning in, you can also follow me on Instagram at I am Lily Mae. Thank you all again for tuning in to another episode of the Glambitious Podcast.